Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our live stream tonight. It is awesome to be here. Thank you for joining us on Scars to Stars. Scars to Stars, as you know, is that program where we designed it to appreciate and profile the lives of successful women, women that started from, most of them started from very humble beginnings, women that have gone through real life situations, women that have overcome the barriers, entry barriers into leadership, women that have walked the lonely path of coming into leadership without having role models necessarily in front of them, but they have gone on to become the role models. Women that have basically removed this imaginary glass ceiling and saying, the sky is the beginning, we can become. And these women, we call them scars to stars. They are stars in our rights and we honor them. But we say to them, your success seems to have covered your scars, but we know the scars are there and we want to hear your story. And we've been listening to these women, and in listening to these women today, we want to look at some of these women that have alluded to mentorship and how mentorship has helped them, how mentorship is helping them become what they are. And we are saying to them, what is your story? How has mentorship, so that women coming after can go back and say, I can become because there's somebody show me the path. So today we are starting this edition of Scars to Stars. We're looking at two people we have profiled already, Dr. Nelly Kangwa and Eve Banda. And we're looking at both of them who have similar stories on mentorship. And we are saying, how did you do it? How did mentorship help you? I want to share their experiences, but most importantly, see how they can help others, because they themselves, having walked the journey, can show people how to go on the journey. So please welcome with me Eve Banda, all the way from South Africa, Johannesburg, from Sandton area, I believe. Welcome, Eve. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Pastor Jay.
I see we are talking about mentorship today, so you're ready for work. You're ready for
Yes.
that's getting ready. Let's do it. Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. How's the family, by the way?
Family is good.
My brother Greg is good.
He's good. Celebrated Easter, which was a quiet one, just for
Beautiful.
us being at home and just decluttering our minds and ready
That's
for work tomorrow.
the best enjoyment is family enjoyment,
Yeah.
and is the most cost effective. So well done. And to join us tonight also, we have Dr. Nelly Kangwa, who has done so well. So welcome, Dr. Nelly. We really appreciate your time from Lusaka, and the coach herself is joining us. Hi, Dr. Nelly. Happy Easter Monday. How are you today?
Good evening. How are you?
It's so good to see you. You look so relaxed and refreshed.
Oh, yeah. Today I rested. It was holiday, so I was just resting.
Awesome. How's the family? How's my brother, the bishop?
Oh, he's fine. He's fine. The kids are good.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, both of you, on Scars to Stars. Now, both of you, your stories are similar. You're on totally different paths, but your stories are similar. And what I realized, is just like a light bulb, is that you both listened to similar messages. You both listened and sat under certain environments. I'm not coming into your space. You're telling your story, and please leave me out of your business. And you both are excelling. And one thing both of you are not ashamed to talk about is mentorship and the type of mentorship. And everywhere you go, you tell, I find that, because I get feedback and people, there's nowhere you go, you don't talk about how you came about mentorship in your life. And you're not ashamed. A lot of people are so ashamed to talk about it today. And they feel I am the reference, focus on me. But you guys you keep pointing. So we want to hear, because there's a generation listening. Yesterday we talked to Loveness and Kata, who started as a physiotherapist. Today she went on to have a degree, 2 master's degree and a PhD, and is still climbing. And she listened to something and her whole horizon changed. So today I'm expecting that somebody's going to listen to both of you, and their horizons and vision may change to appreciate what mentorship does for a woman, and why other women need to be role models for the younger women to come. And we'd like to share with you. So you're the first that we're bringing on for part 2. It tells us you guys have been really, really, you've touched us. Every story has touched, but your stories focused a lot on mentorship. So tell us about it. This is your discussion, so don't put me in it. In fact, both of you can go at yourselves, okay? So, but I'm here. Tell us about mentorship. Let's start with Eve. You always say you're the firstborn, blah, blah, blah. Tell us about that. What's mentorship to you? And how was it? What you see today, would you say that is mentorship? I don't know. It's very nice now. We have very good words to describe some of these things today. Tell us about your experience. And why is
So
it
for me,
important?
I think for where I came from, it was important that I look up to people that have done what I wanted to do and learn from them. And one of the mentors that I had, I spoke about it on the program, was yourself, Pastor Jay, where you saw something in me that I didn't even know, and gave me books to read and just to open myself up. So that was my first time of having sort of a coach run alongside you. So I didn't feel that when I got promoted or in the boardroom, I didn't feel I was alone, because I would come back to you and I'd say, this is what happened. What do you think I should do? Or I'm now going through this disciplinary. What should I do? So I've always had people that I call my coaches or my mentors, and those people are very alive in my life. I hear people sometimes say, oh, Joyce Meyer is my mentor, or TTX is my mentor. I have mentors that I can call and talk to as I journey through this journey called life. And I'm not ashamed to say I don't know all the answers. Sometimes I need somebody to even point me back. I share stories about, there was a time I was like quiet, I didn't do nothing, and it was Dr. Nelly who came to my house, flew all the way to Joburg, and was like, stand up, girl, you need to start doing this thing. So in a way, we coach each other as well. We don't compete. We don't have that competitive spirit. If she sees something that I'm doing, she'll say, go for it. If I see something that she's doing, I'll say, go for it. And that's how we've been brought up. So I think the foundation for us has been that we had one mentor who was interested in us as individuals and not anything else.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Dr. Nelly, looking at your life also, when you were a nurse, you had somebody that connected with you on that level, and you have carried her up till now. She is totally mother to you. You celebrate her even more than you celebrate, I think, your biological mother. Not because there's any competition, but the way I see you value that in your life. And you came into a spiritual space and you made sacrifices. I saw you made sacrifices. You gave up on certain things that you believed in. Until tomorrow, you still talk about the mentors in your life. Why is mentorship so important to you? And Eve just said, some people will say, Joyce Meyer is my mentor, TD Jake's my mentor, not taking anything from them. But can you have a mentor like that? Someone that doesn't know you, you read the book, 7 steps, 10 steps, and you say, that's my mentor. What's your experience? What's mentorship to you on your side?
Okay. I think for me, mentorship started when I was very young. I had a dad who was very good in, teaching me on what mentorship is all about. I remember one day he even demonstrated. He was trying to pick cobs of maize, from the rooftop, and he was failing. So he put me on his shoulders, and he told me to pick those cobs of maize from the roof, and I picked a number of them. And I remember him stooping down to my height, and he said, Nelly, who is taller between you and me? And in my naughtiness, as I was young, I was like, it's me, it's me. And my dad said, yes, Nelly. Every time you sit on other people's shoulders, then you get to see more and you get to achieve more. Sorry?
That is huge. Your father's wisdom is just huge. That was fantastic.
Yes. So when he passed on, I had a gap. I had a gap in ministry. When he passed on, I was 19 years old, and I moved from one place to the other. Of course, my spiritual mom came on the scene. She mostly started mentoring me in marriage until when I got to Covenant Keepers that time, and I met up with you. For me, I was looking for somebody I could look up to, somebody who could, more like replace my dad, somebody I can go to just the way I am with that childlike spirit. And I remember in those trainings, it was instructional trainings. I remember I was leading intercession, and I came late by, I think, 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes was not really kind when it came to the way you spoke to me. But then with all that discipline, that you really put, inside of me, and the discipline that you brought in terms of timekeeping, and, just ensuring that you prepared properly, because you literally was going, even trying to really check out on what I'd prepared, to lead that intercession. You have no idea how that discipline, has been carried on and passed on even to today when it comes to timekeeping, when it comes to for preparation. But another thing that also happened when I began to relate with you was how you helped me to actually step up in the marketplace, because I was churchy. And I remember it was just a question. You asked me that, so Mrs. K, you've prayed and you were doing all the intercession. How much money have you made? That question was really, 101% question that really brought a turnaround in my life. That is how I usually tell people that, it was like a tattoo. You tattooed something in my life that made me to start understanding, the marketplace, to step in there, that as much as I can pray, I also need to know that there's also the marketplace where I need to tap into and begin to not to depend on church for offering, because where I was coming from, when you're a pastor, you are depending on offerings and tithes. And your teachings just brought a turnaround. Like, it was for the first time when I saw a pastor giving. I remember you bought for me an air ticket to go to South Africa. I mean, that was a shock. Like, how? I'm used to going to a church where you have to give the pastor, not the pastor giving to you. And so for me, that shocked me. So you not only said something, but I think you demonstrated a lot of things that I was watching, and really helped me to be where I am today, where I'm making a lot of money.
Hallelujah.
I like that.
I like that, I'm telling you. So I like what you said, and I hope a lot of people learn that. Money is not in church. Money is in the marketplace. If you're making money from church, then maybe we've misplaced. I don't know. That's not my experience. I believe that you go out there and get money, and you bring it to God and worship God, not because of transactions, but because of expression of worship. That's what I believe. Eve, tell me, looking at it now, I know you've gone through that a long time, but somebody has not experienced it. And sometimes people say it's tough. And sometimes today you want somebody that is nice and cozy. I'm not saying everybody walks the same path, but go back into that space where you were just 20 something, and you're coming into this relationship that you've never had, and it's real. What does a mentee go through?
Sure.
And why didn't you give up? And what dividend has it made that you didn't give us? Because most people give up, and most people want it there. I don't know. You describe it.
Yeah. So for me, it was.
What are the kind
it
of
was
things?
very tough. Pardon?
What are the kind of things you did? Give us examples.
So I had to wake up every day. I remember Pastor Jay used to stay in Woodlands, and I was in Emersdale. I had to wake up every day, Emersdale, drive to Pastor Jay's house, give him what he had given me to read. So I had to summarize, give, and then he'll ask me questions. This is like maybe at 5:30 in the morning. And we would chat in that 5:30 in the morning. And then he had to make sure that I'm at the office at 7. He used to tell me, don't go to the office at 8 when everybody's coming. So go at 7 and prepare. So you can imagine 5:30 I'm at his house. And it was simple things that even up to now, I always have my nails done. Because I remember one time you're like, are you going with these nails to work? Do you know you're going to sign things and people will be looking at these dirty nails? Can you please get yourself in order?
I know I didn't say that.
You did. You did. And you're like, can you please just deal with these nails? I don't want to see them. So I had to learn that, okay, grooming was important. You would literally ask me, so this week, have you prepared for what you're going to wear Monday to Friday? And I'm just like, this man, what's wrong? So going through it was tough. There were times when I'm just like, I'm not even going to listen to him ever again, you know, because I'm thinking you're being difficult. But that I can tell you, getting to work at 7 every day when nobody was at work, preparing and making sure that when my MD comes, he used to find me at the office. And that's what he saw. So in 2 months, I was promoted, literally 2 months, because he just says your work ethic is impeccable. But that wasn't my work ethic before. That's a work ethic that I was learning in the process.
Okay.
That was one. The second thing that I learned, Pastor Jeff, from you mentoring me was the art of giving and making sure that you made it drummed into my head that you are at this position not for yourself. You are at this position because there are people that you have to help. So I knew that if there's vacancies, I always had to look out for who am I helping, why am I helping, who am I giving. So I people say you helped a lot of people, but they didn't know that that was my act of ministry. That was my act of giving back, because there's a mentor behind me who's asking me, so what have you given? So for all the things that God has given you, what have you given back? And the last thing that I wanted to say, maybe Dr. Nelly will say something about that as well, was I remember one day coming to church late, and I was late for a reason. So I was late because Pastor Dad sent me to do something. So I went to do that thing, and I took my sweet time doing it. Then I came to church late, and I found the doors were closed and people were outside. I'm like, hey, why are people outside? And Pastor J was inside alone because people came late, alone. He was praising God by himself. And I thought to myself, this guy is weird. But believe it or not, never again did we come to church late. I remember there were some people who were told, no, go back. You don't want to come to church, go back. So that's happening in the church setting. For me, it translated into the office. Like I could never, ever take my work late, take an assignment late, go to work late, or just hand in. Deadlines became very critical. So it was tough going through it.
Yeah.
And I've taken that on. So if I coach people or I mentor people, I'm very, very brutal and tough. Because it's for their own good. It's like you're plucking things out to put in new things. So the plucking is really, really hurtful. But the process has to be done. So there were times I wanted to stop and I wanted to say, I'm giving up, but I kept coming back. And as I came back, I became more and more prosperous and more promoted.
So you talked about books. Before we go to Dr. Nelly, what did books do for you? Because you had to read and you had to give reports and you had to practice it at work.
Yes.
And immediate results were coming. What did it do for you and what has it done for you even till now?
So it gave me new language that I didn't know, you know. So remember, I'm from Tfu. For me, if you told me to speak in front of people, I couldn't. English was not very upcoming, you know. I wasn't very fluent in English. So it gave me new language. I read books that were, if I'm doing a transaction at work, and I would explain what I'm doing, you'd be like, oh yeah, read Who Moved My Cheese. This is somebody's moving something. So this is a change process. Read Who Moved My Cheese. And I would go and look for the books and read. And they were expensive at the time. There was no internet like we have now where you can find them. But books gave me new language. Books made me come out of the Zambia cocoon and go into the world. I could speak the same way a Harvard graduate speaks. There was nothing that was putting us apart, because then I learned what they're doing in America, I learned what they're doing in Asia, and I applied it in my company, be it Celtel, Zamtel, or wherever. And I've
Yeah.
learned to do that even now. Like,
Okay.
there's nothing that I'm doing that I don't research and know
Okay.
how big companies are doing it. And for me, when I come and speak about it, it's because I've researched extensively. So books
Awesome.
make you leave your cocoon, leave your environment, and go into a different environment and see how people are doing it.
Thank you so much. Doc, I know you are there. Let's bring you back, Kasongo. We're looking at Doc now. Doc, I know you didn't go just reading books. You went back to school and you defied all the odds. And today, the appellations they give you are just amazing. Sorry, I think we lost her there. She's trying to come back on. Thank you for bringing her back in. Doc, sorry, we lost you there. I know that you really went back into reading and just enjoying to the point where you have the doctorate and you went back fully. What was your experience in mentorship, and what did it do for you? Looking back now, what did it do for you, and what benefits or dividends did it bring? Can you hear me?
Muted.
No, you're on. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. Am I on now? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think let me take it a little back, from the question that you asked Eve, and then I'll answer your question.
Okay.
Mentorship, mentorship brings you in a place of giving up your right to be right. Okay, giving up your right to be right, and that is what I learned, because there's a way in which when you walk up to your mentor, there are some things that you learned. There are some things that you already have in your mind. So when you get into the presence of the mentor, I call it a Gilgal experience.
Okay.
A Gilgal experience which Elisha and Elijah reached. You need to circumcise yourself. You need to remove the skin of I know it all. You need to remove the skin of I've heard this before. Church is done in this way. At work, I've always done it this way. There is a way in which a mentee, and that's what exactly I did. I had to give up my right to be right.
That's fantastic.
In order for me,
that is such a good way to
learn.
It.
I had to, yes, I had to empty my bucket. I had to empty the heart of my bucket and lengthen the rope, so that, the rope is likened to passion, in order for me to draw, out of the depth of your heart. And in those times when I was being put on exam, like how many books have I read, and the questions that you were asking me, that was new, but I needed to do it because I had given up my right to be right, and I just wanted to learn. Now, when it came to the challenge of what you were presenting, I remember asking you a question like, how do you stand on stage and teach and make us look as though we've never read the Bible? How do you do this thing? And you asked me a question and you say, do you desire? Okay, do you desire this? If you desire it, you will get it. But how to get it? You've got to be a student of the book. That is how I started challenging myself, because I realized my education was not meeting up with what I wanted to achieve. And that is how I had to go back to school in order for me to match up to what I was looking for, because I realized I was an A+ student from where I was coming from, but somewhere life happened and I did not become what I wanted to become. I realized it was not too late. Okay, I realized it was not too late. There were so many things that I needed to adjust. I remember I shared this the last time when we were together, that
Yes.
And you sat my husband and I to adjust, where we were staying, and we needed to shift from North Mid Assembly, from North Mid House, and get to Kawat, in order for us to simply, work on the finances that we had, because we were not making our ends meet. That type of guidance that we were getting, it was because they knew us. And what was shocking for me is how you understood the place we were at, and you were able to lift us up from that place and point to a direction that would add so much value to our lives. And so even when I was going back to school, for me, it was to bring out this that you always looked at. I remember you always used to say, Miss K, you're very intelligent. You are such a powerful woman. You will make it. And you always say this thing like, I'm looking at who is he talking about? Who is he talking about? Because sometimes when life has happened, you begin to forget who you are. And depending on the people that you are surrounding yourself with, you find that you begin to operate in a mediocre manner. But being with you was really a challenge, because you made us look like we are not educated. You made us look like, we didn't know. When you stand there and you begin to eloquently, present the Bible, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this. So the standard was too high. The standard was too high, but you kept on inviting. Especially, I remember personally, you'd always invite me to that, standard. Like, you can make it, you can get here. That's how come I knew about Mike Murdoch. I didn't know Mike Murdoch. You began to let me to listen to the CDs, the books, Mike Murdoch, Miles Monroe, John Maxwell. I began to get myself to read, books that I never thought actually I would read. It is that standard that challenged me to go back to school. And actually, I'm going back again in April. I'm doing another master's, because this one is talking the skill, is bringing the skill.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I'm pro-education now is because of the challenge in the foundation of my life. You placed a very strong challenge over my life, and I was like, you know what? Let me do this thing. Let me do this thing. And this is where, I'm getting challenged all the time.
So what I've picked up from what both of you have said, thank you so much, Doc. What I've picked up from what Eve and Doc you've given us is you have shown us that, for me, what I'm assimilating and synthesizing from this discussion is that mentorship requires an attitude. There's an attitude from the mentor, there's an attitude from the mentee. Mentorship also, sorry about the cracking sound, I don't know where it's coming from. Mentorship requires a certain mentality and depth. You want to empty yourself, you want to learn, and you are ready to listen. Mentorship will stretch you and your vision. That means the right mentors around you create an environment around you that facilitates your learning and growth. Also, they stretch you. And it's that stretching. And the most beautiful thing I'm hearing is that it lays a foundation upon which you build. So what you build is unlimited, but that foundation creates a platform to go. If you said it creates a culture in you and it just sets you up. Dr. Nelly, you are saying that it just creates a foundation. So people without this, what do you think? And if, by the way, I really want to honor you today because you have so mentored so many people. Dr. Nelly, I'm not even going to your space now because you are the new generation. Locally here, you are just, I don't know how to describe the work you're doing now, which I thoroughly love in the marketplace. You're moving, you're shifting a whole mindset in society for women to see this entrepreneurial side of them. If you have created so much room for so many moving into the executive office, into everywhere you went, you brought somebody, and you brought not just somebody, you brought a whole, if you like, call it a generation of leaders into spaces who would never have probably gone into those places if God had not caused you to bring them. And you said to us, you began to see it as ministry. And today, what I'd like both of you to do is see it as ministry again. How are you going to mentor the next generation? Because if you walk the walk, then there's so much in you. And I'll tell you, I'm confessing my sins. The reason we're doing this is to put you out there for people to see you and say, look, if you want mentors, these are people that have done it. So I'm confessing my sins to you. I hope you get as many calls as possible. I hope people can come to you and say, look, can you talk to me? I want to do this. I want to do that. Because that's the whole intention. You don't want to inspire people and then those people say, okay, what next? And you can't help. So you are women, you are there. And I pray that Kasongo, if you can, I don't know what social media handles, you can let us know, just pop it out, say it to us, and Kasongo will make sure it goes on the screen so that they can reach out to you. Eve, let's come into your workplace and your workspace. I know Dr. Nelly is trying to get back on. What did mentorship, how did it help you in your career projection? For I know you also that you have maintained relationship that are strategic times. In fact, I know that before you made major moves, every major move you have made, you have sat and discussed and weighed and went back. How has mentorship helped your progression? What has it done for you? What's the value it's had?
So I have different mentors for different things,
Yes.
and I've made it a point. There's some mentors that I don't even go to without paying, because then they're taking me to a different level. So I've got paid mentors, and I've got, so those in the corporate world who call a coach. I've got like 2 coaches that I pay right now, who are doing different things. I've got a young coach who's very much younger than me, helping me to do reverse. So he's doing reverse coaching on me. Then I've got a senior coach who has been with me for the last 5 years. But for mentorship, I have CEOs that I can tell you, from Hans Fossen, who was my CEO at Zamtel. Every time I'm making a move, I'll check with him. I'm just like, Hans, this is the move. What do you think? I've got Charles Mdiwa, who was my CEO at Stanbic. I've got PJ, Pastor J. I call myself his firstborn child. So I go back and I say, okay, this is the move. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And the reason for that is sometimes the door opens and it looks glamorous, but it's not your door. It takes somebody telling you, have you looked at this? Have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? You know? So for every move, there are so many opportunities that I've given up sometimes, because people will tell me, this looks nice, but have you checked this, and that? And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. And that's a job of a mentor. Is a mentor, because they've gone before you, they'll be able to tell you that, if don't do this because this. Or if you're gonna do this, bear in mind you're gonna lose 1, 2, 3. You know. So for every journey, for every transition, I ask people around me to say, is this the right decision that I'm making? And what do you think? For Christians, I think that's where we go and pray and say, okay, can you pray with me? Can you believe God with me? You need those people that will believe God with you. But in the corporate world, a mentor would just prayerfully, they'll be able to tell you these are things that you should look out for. So I've got different mentors for different things. And Pastor Jen, just allow me to just talk about a bit about the difference. So there's a coach.
Permission, please go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a coach who doesn't necessarily need to have walked my way, but they coach me into going to where I'm going. A mentor is somebody that has done what I'm doing, you know, and I'm about to do, and they will tell me don't. But the thing that we don't talk about a lot is what is now becoming more and more popular in South Africa, which is a psychologist. You need somebody else who is going to talk to you in those times of dips, you know. For people like me and maybe Dr. Nelly, our highs are high and our lows are lows, you know.
Yeah.
So in those lows, in those lows, I've got another person who's a psychologist that I call her my shrink. And I'll talk to her about how I feel, and we will talk about these feelings and be able to come to a place where I'm comfortable. So you need to think about it from, what am I learning from this coach? What am I learning from the mentor? And when do I need a psychologist for them to be able to help me?
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Nelly, how has mentorship contributed in your own? So we're not talking about the mentor now and the experience, but the value. How has it contributed to your success, looking at what you're doing, and how have you come to appreciate it in the different levels to which you aspire to? Did you get me?
All right. So mentorship for me has contributed big time in my life. Again, I'm going to allude to the story of Elijah and Elisha. You know, at every point, you know, Elijah would say, please remain here. I'm going to this place. I'm going to Bethel. So remain here. And Elisha, you know, kept saying, you know, I'm going with you, because there's something that Elisha saw in Elijah. And at one point he asked, what can I do for you? And he said, if only you can give me a double portion. And Elijah said, you've asked a hard thing. Question is, why did he say you've asked a hard thing? But then he said, nonetheless, if you see me go, you will have it. And at the time when there was all this whirlwind and there was, you know, chariots of fire, Elisha saw it. It's like he kept his eyes focused on what he followed. So in other words, when you want to have a successful journey with a mentor, which is really the value that I've gotten, it's to concentrate on the it, on that thing that you followed. What is it that made you to call somebody a mentor? Because there are so many things that may happen along the way in the journey of mentorship. You may sometimes be exposed to the weakness of your mentor, the chariots of fire, the will. There are so many things that are surrounding the relationship or the journey. If my eyes remain focused, which literally I have done, my eyes remain focused when I've defined what I'm looking for from a mentor, that's what I look out for. And that's what I have benefited. There are so many things I cannot begin to name them. The things that I have managed to actually get from my mentors. The mother that you mentioned. Now I've even authored a book, The Make of a Real Woman, because somehow when it comes to success in the area of mentoring women, in the area of marriage, I have managed to succeed in that area with wisdom because of looking at the it. My spiritual mom comes from Reformed Church, and she's not as educated as I am, but yet I followed the it from her. She's a woman full of wisdom. So that's what I have taken out of her. When it comes, you know, from you, like I already say, it's this level of intelligence. You know, I looked at you and I admired the intelligence, and I focused on that. What makes you to get a scripture and share it as though you've never read it? You know, I've been a student of the Bible. Like I've always mentioned, they used to call me concordance. I mean, I've read the Bible back to back. I've memorized several scriptures. At one point, I stood and memorized the whole book of Esther. But when I listened to the way you brought out, I looked at the it. I looked at your intellectual capacity. I looked at the way you do things. I looked at the way you run. You know, you were running your businesses. I was like, this is what I'm looking for. And because I followed through that which I was looking for, that's what I got. You know, so it's what you are looking for. That's what I've gotten. And it is something that there's no way I can tell the history of my life or the success of my life. Like I've always told you, you always want to run away whenever I mention. There's no way the history of my life will be incomplete
if I do not mention your name. It would be incomplete, because most of the things that I'm doing today, especially this new Dr. Nelly in the marketplace, has to do with the challenge that you gave to me. And that's the it that I picked from you. And I believe I got the mantle. We talk with Eve most of the time to say, you know what, I think the two of us, we really got it. I don't know about others, but I think we got what we were looking for. And you are still an encouragement to our lives. We still look at the things that you're doing. Look at how you are reaching out to the leadership, the women in leadership. Look at the influence. Look at the strength that you have. Even when you faced challenges, when you faced so many things that have happened to your life, you are so focused. I'm so surprised how you wake up at 6 a.m. and you show up on Facebook. I mean, that's crazy. You show up
every day,
whether you like it or you show up. I mean, I'm like,
I agree with you. That's crazy.
who does that? Who does that?
I asked him that.
Focused on what you do, that your life is a testimony. And for me, that is what I have learned, is to observe and act. Observe and act. Because what is mentorship if I'm not putting into practice what I'm learning? What is mentorship? Why should I follow you if I'm not exercising or I'm not acting on the instructions that I've been given? So you have no idea. You have no idea what that time did.
If we're on you now, somebody's watching today, and the whole idea of this is to push out there why younger women, there's no age to it actually. You just told us that you're getting coaching from someone younger than you, or you see the value in that person and you feel that will help you go higher. To that person watching today, particularly because you have been through it and you're still going through it and you have mentors for different areas of your life, what are you saying to that woman watching who has the future? You see, this is the beginning of a decade. 2021 is the beginning of a decade. And people should begin to aim and look, what am I going to be in the next 10 years? So somebody may be catching you now, 4th month, April, and learning from you on the value of it. And I hope a lot of people are able to just Google you or even search. Google will give them so many searches of you. Go to Facebook, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, Instagram, and they can get you and connect, because there is so much dividend in you, I think, value. And with Dr. Nelly, what would you be saying to that person watching us today on why they should have, and what attitude should they have when they do approach this person to mentor them? Because so I remember the thing about mentorship and all that. Tell us, please.
So the thing about growth is most of the time we have an idea of where we want to go, but because we haven't been there, we don't know that there are people who've actually been there. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. I've embraced that scripture so well to say what I want to do. If I search around, I'll find somebody who's done it. And I can go and not relive their lives, but I can go and ask and say, help me get to where I want to go.
A bit there. Don't lose your thought. Why is it that people, you just said something, people have been through things and you don't have to go through what they went through. But in our Christian circles, we tend to vilify and stigmatize people you can learn from so you don't have to go through the same pain. Why do we do that? What do you think?
I think it's this notion of you want something that is, and I spoke about it last when we spoke last. You want something that doesn't exist, that is pure, right?
Yeah.
The fact that I've gone through stuff, I can tell you, don't use that road. These are the people who's in that road, and it's only a mentor that has experienced some things. When I coach, I start from family, because I've had a broken family before. And I realized that if your family is not doing well, you can do well in the marketplace, you still go to a family that is broken. So that's where I start from. And I do that because I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through. I don't want anybody else to fail where I failed. So that's where that's a mindset that somebody should come with, is I am growing, but to go to where I'm going, somebody else has done it, and
Awesome.
learn from the person who's done it. That's
Awesome.
one. And secondly, be empty. If you're gonna start a journey having a coach or a mentor, you have to come empty. I tell the people, I'm not the one who is the wisest in the room. I have to empty myself of my prejudices, of my, the way I look at things, to come and say, what am I learning? I'm not ashamed to be a leader that doesn't even have the answers, and that's why I'm doing this reverse coaching, is because I don't know so many things about this technology. So somebody else is coaching me. So you have to come empty. And then the last one that for me I find is important, stick with the program. Trust the process. If it's a 12 weeks, like I do 12 weeks, if it's a 12 weeks program, stick with the program. By week 4, I normally see people start making excuses. Oh, I can't do it today because, and I tell people, it's not my problem. If you paid for 12 weeks, you're gonna do 12 weeks and that's it. After the 12 weeks, I'm gone. I'm doing something else. So stick with the program and trust the process. Sometimes the process makes you go back and face your fears. The process makes you go back and face the things that you're running away from. Sometimes the mentor will help you go back to those places where you were disgraced, for you to go and face it so that you can come back stronger. But just trust the process. But for the women, I would say, if you don't have a coach or if you don't have a mentor, just approach someone. Approach somebody that is trained. I think there's so many people again who are calling themselves, Pastor J, coaches and mentors, because they've read a book, Yeah, and because it's sexy now for coaches and mentors. I tell people, find somebody who's gone through. So if somebody asks me, where did I learn to be a coach? I'll talk about our relationship, the relationship that I had with you, that is over 20 something years. The other day I was counting about this relationship, 24 years. So I should know something about the topic. But also I've gone to school for it. So I know what I'm doing if there's a process. So don't just pick up anybody. That's why you have the chemistry conversation to see if that's the right person for you. I normally turn down people that want to be coached by me if the chemistry is not right. And if the chemistry is wrong and it's off, I will nicely tell them, thank you very much, but I can't be able to do it. Because it's
something
off.
you said that I liked. And I think this is so valuable that people don't probably get, particularly again when you come into the church space, whereby when somebody has gone through something, you talked about it when you say you start with your family and you don't want anybody else to go through it. It means when people have come through things and overcome things, they have an empathetic heart. They have a heart that doesn't want to see other people. So they go the extra mile to try and steer you aright. That's what I heard from you. Would you say that's right?
So for me, that's the thing. I think that's the thing for me, is the fact that I learned to be successful in the marketplace and have a home that is breaking. And I know how it tears somebody apart. So when I'm coaching you, I want you to be successful both at home and then in the marketplace. So I'll tell you things that I did wrong or things that didn't work out correct in my wanting to be on top, and the price that I've paid. I tell people, I've paid this price, or I've paid the price.
Real life is not movies.
Paid the price. I've paid the price. And now I can stand and say, if I coach you, if you're not going to be where I'm at, then it's up to you, but I can pull you to where I'm at.
Doc, let's come to you. Thank you so much, Eve. Let's come to you. I'm starting from where Eve stopped. And Eve is saying that somebody has paid the price. I used to say that somebody spends 50 years to learn lessons and get successful. And they put their work in a book that is $20, $10. And most people feel it's too expensive to buy the book than to go and buy hair or to go and buy MAC powder or buy some Fendi lipstick, but to buy that 50 years of experience, they don't buy it. What we find is in churches today, in the Christian circles today, somebody has been through things that become priceless, but people think, no. And they want to go to places where people seem to be perfect, but have not achieved nothing. And you don't want to learn from people that don't. Now, it's their ministry to make sure nobody else goes through that. But we have this mentality that, you want to go and suffer, and you can talk to God directly, but God put the example in front of you. I'm looking at you, Doc, now, and I'm saying to me, what do you say to that? What do you say to us, the woman watching us today, in approaching, how does she approach a mentor and get the right one? What I think she must look at?
Okay. So like you say, if you've defined the goal, if you've known where you want to go, you will see that even investment, won't be a question, because if you've understood that this is what I want to become, okay, like there are some things that I want to do. I want to become Minister of Education. Now, if this is what I want to become, then are there books that have been written about the people that have gotten into politics? Are there books that have been written about the things that I want to do? I'm reading one book right now about a man who is in Australia, but he wrote the book. He's Zambian. He wrote that book about education. It's amazing. So now, if you've understood where you want to go and what you want to achieve, I'm telling you the truth, spending money on a book won't be a question. Many times we have challenges to invest in a book. It's because we don't know what we want. We don't know what we want to become. And so we think we are going to waste time to do that.
Yeah.
And then when you are choosing, when you want to now put a mentor in your life, it has to be in alignment with what you want to achieve. It has to be, because a mentor is somebody who's skillful in that area, okay, that you want. And like you mentioned, this mentor has made some mistakes. This mentor has taken long to actually achieve some of the things that they will tell you in an hour. They've gone through a life. And I remember one day you preached a sermon and you said, if and you gave yourself as an example, that if you want to fail in marriage, do what I've done. And I was like, who does that? Who can bring himself, here and begin to talk about the mistakes that they made? And they're saying, these are the mistakes. I think for me, it was a killer. That was like, you just finished me, because every person wants to cover up.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the certain examples that a mentor, gives or experiences a mentor goes through, that if you are able to listen, you will take an hour where they took 10 years. And
Absolutely.
that should be the standard of what you're looking at. It has to be something that is in alignment to your values and alignment to the goals that you want to achieve. Those are the mentors that you're supposed to choose. And again, I usually tell people that when it comes to mentorship, you shouldn't have too many people speaking into your life. That is why I liken mentorship to, like you are carrying a cross, and that short part where the head, leans on the cross. That is the place of a mentor, because there's a protrusion. So a mentor sees into the future and deals with you now. So they are not into your pain, your emotions, and they need to sympathize. They're seeing your greatness. And if they are able to see your greatness, have they been there, to take you, in that particular, place where they are going to go. And that is why it shouldn't be a lot of people talking to you. So I've got a mentor, that's my papa, that is my what, that is my, in the end you get confused, because this one will tell you this other thing. This one will tell you the other thing, and you get confused. So I usually advise people, if you're looking for mentorship, please don't have too many people crowding this particular place, caught at the short place of the cross, and you need to carry the cross wherever you are going. And then the other thing, when it comes to mentorship, if you really want to gain more transparency and communication, is very important. When you are transparent before a mentor will be able to know exactly what you need and what you require, from them.
That's right.
Communication. 80% of communication comes from you, the mentee, and 20% from a mentor. A mentor is not the one who's pursuing you. A mentor is not the one who's chasing after you. You are the one who
That's a good one.
chasing after the mentor, because a mentor is having something for you. And therefore, in their presence, you initiated the discussion 80%. They only initiate 20%, but in their presence, you talk 20% and they talk 80%. That's the only way, because if you're in the presence of the mentor and you are talking, you're the one who's talking. When are you going to learn?
Awesome. That's awesome. Now, we seem to have loved Doc again. I want to quickly put out there, Eve, this is about celebrating women and celebrating your successes. Would you tell us, please? By the way, there's a funny question I want to ask. That's a side comment, okay? But is paparism and mentorship, is it the same?
No. That's why I laugh.
Please, what's the difference between papara and mentor? Because
so
we have a lot
I just this papa culture for me it just frustrates me, because first of all, this person you see on a Sunday once, and you reverence them. They replace God in your life. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about somebody you reverence.
That's huge.
Yeah, they replace God. And I've heard some of them will say, "Oh, the God of Papa something." I'm just like, that's dangerous. So you can't have a Papa and a mentor be the same. First of all, don't even have a Papa in the first place. Have a pastor that is Bible believing, please.
I hear you.
I don't know how many times I'm gonna say this to people, that you just have to go into a Bible believing church. So that's another thing altogether. But the essence of a mentor is, I know pastors that are very good mentors, because they then decide to pour their heart into a person.
Yeah.
The reason I don't mentor Pastor J more than 10 people at a given go is because I want to pour myself, So if there's a relationship, and the reason it's very structured, I've had now it's very structured, is it takes, I get tired. By the time I'm finishing with a coaching session, I am drained. It's taken a lot, So that's the difference. When you were coaching me, I felt at that time I was the most important person to you. I don't know how the others were feeling, but you were pouring into me. I could see the interest was about me and my growth and where I was going. And that's the difference. So you can't mentor me from a pulpit far off, and you're mentoring the whole congregation. That's pastoring. Mentoring is I'm really, really tied into where you are. I think Dr. Day talks about Elijah and Elisha. It's that close relationship that you have with your mentor, that he's got the right to tell you off when things are not going well. You've given him the right to come and speak to
but in your instance it was a he. But
exactly.
So a mentor is not necessarily a he, but you are just talking about experiences.
So it's not necessarily a he. Yes. It can be a she. I've had a coach who's a she once, but most of the times I relate. I think it's where the corporate world is. Most of us need to rise up and coach more people. It was a guy that we found who were he. But by the time I'm finished mentoring, I'm famished, because I'm pouring myself into somebody else. I'm taking my experience and pouring it into somebody else. And that's how the relationship becomes very intricate, to the point that when I see them grow, I am like, wow, I'm
celebrate.
I stand amazed. And I think that's what happens to you and us who are so-called your mentees. Yeah. So that's the one. And then the other thing that I tell people about the relationship is, this is a relationship for life. So because the framework has got maybe 12 weeks, some it's 24 weeks, 24 weeks, some it's a year. Because there's a framework, it doesn't mean the relationship ends. The relationship stops and starts as needs come. There are times when I don't call my mentors like for 6 months. Then all of a sudden I'm like on their speed dial the whole time. Why? Because at that moment is when I need somebody to stand alongside me. So I like what Dr. Nelly said, where you are pursuing me as your mentor, and I set up boundaries. So it's this time. So if it's an hour, it's an hour. Because before, as Christians, like we used to do it every hour. So when I started out, I wouldn't even have hours. I wouldn't even have a program where they can go and dial in and book time. I was just like, anybody who calls me, I'll be on that phone the whole time, coaching. And we had to realize there has to be a structure. So that's, for me, that's important, because when you pour into somebody, you can't pour into 50 people at the same time. It takes a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. So I would like both of you to tell us about what you are doing in that space. As we close now, 1 hour goes so fast. What are you doing in that space? Dr. Nelly, I'll come to you. Tell us what you are doing and how do women access and reach what you're doing. Both of you are doing phenomenal work, and there are many more people. And we thought today to celebrate you in the spaces where you are working and make you available and accessible so that people know, in case they are looking for, there are 2 brilliant women and many more out there that they can reach out to. So Dr. Nelly, let's start with you, and then we'll come to Eve, and then we can call it Good Easter Monday. Please go ahead. Can you hear me?
Okay, so I have set up, can you hear me?
Yes,
I have set up a company called Project Life Design. Yes, Project Life Design. And, from there, I'm mentoring a number of people. Women in the marketplace is basically more women, but Project Life Design is for everybody, who want to be upgraded, who needs their lives to change. So I give different sessions to help somebody get branded, because I believe every person has got something to offer. They've got a gifting that needs to be shaped, needs to be helped. And this year, there are several people that have helped to do their profiles, to just bring themselves into this space where their brands can be internationalized so that they can compete at international level. I also create trade missions where I connect people. I connect them from, other people that are in other countries who are doing similar things, and those that are in Zambia, I'm able to bring them together in order for them to actually partner, to bring about whatever they are doing to another level. So there are several things that I'm doing to help, young people to become the best version of their lives. Beginning from, I supervise things like doing photo shoots. You need to have a new photo shoot. You need to have your profile. You need to be present on social media platforms. And what is it that you are posting? So I supervise even the things that they are posting on social media platforms and challenge them, because most of them, you find that they could be doing something and they are not present. And I like telling them to say, look, if you put your name on Google, is Google having epilepsy? Can't find your name. And then Google will ask, like, you mean? Because you're not existing. We are in a global village. And therefore, every person, even if you're looking for a job, they will first put your name on Google to check you out. So if you're not present, you are not going to actually, be counted, because everything that is happening is now on, the social media platforms, and you've got to be present there. So those are some of the things that I'm doing, and you can find me on all social media platforms as Dr. Nelly Kangwa, on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I've also created some WhatsApp group of different people that I'm helping with the spiritual aspect. I've got a group, and those that need to be mentored into business and coached into business, I've also formed some groups. And soon I'll be honoring some women just to show appreciation, for the things that they've done on the 17th of April. That is also another aspect of a mentee. It's to give gratitude, to remember those that have labored and being able to
Brilliant.
Yes. So those are the
and
things
you do life coaching as well. You train people to be life coach. Tell us about that.
Yes. Yes, I train people I do self-discovery. I've got 3 levels: self-discovery, self-development, and I train people to become life coaches. I also train people to become neuro-linguistic,
NLP
practitioners, where you are able to use different techniques to help somebody to get into their resourceful state. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Eve, tell us, you run a very professional and you're very, if you like, niche market, segmented, because you've come to see where you're most effective. Could you tell us about it, what you do?
So I think through self-discovery, I came to a place where I defined what was my target group. So I help people that are in the marketplace. So they can be working or they can be entrepreneurs. So the way I do it, I run courses. If they go to at Eve Banda on all social media platforms, you would find when I'm running courses. So I run my basic course is The Awakening, where it's everybody who can come into the course. That's the basic foundational course that you can do. And then once you decide which part you are you an entrepreneur or a career person? The career people go into the career management courses that I have. The entrepreneurs go into the entrepreneurial courses that I have. So those are the platforms that are free for everyone, that people just come in, they pay up, and they're in the course. I try and run at least a course a month, just because it's quite intimate. It's people that are looking for a change that we focus on. From that, there are people who decide then to be coached on a one-on-one perspective. And for those, like I said, I only take 10 at a go, because of the time that it takes. And those are the people that I've said, okay, I've gone through your awakening. I've done all the things that you want me to do on visioning, on self-discovery, on branding. I've done all those courses, but now I want you to coach me to help me get to my peak performance. So those are the people that I take in. And then recently, I am now teaching as well, teaching people that want to coach and coach from a business perspective. So business coaching that I do. So how do you coach executives? How do you coach managers? How do you coach supervisors? That's the new class that I'm currently running.
And the beautiful thing is that you have gone to the best schools to learn these things. So it's not just somebody, today everybody takes on coach something. When he was prophet something. When he was this, but both of you have gone to school. Eve, your resume is such a beautiful, huge thing. Dr. Nelly, you keep going back to school to learn more every day. So you are not just wishing it or spiritually receiving it, you are qualified to do it. And therefore you can keep training. So we really thank both of you for joining us today. We wanted to celebrate you further, but more importantly, to let women know there is help. And from the women we have profiled, these are women that you can reach. And if you needed help, they have experiences in different areas. Their specializations and strengths are different. But at least we could use 2, because why we are calling on 2 of you is because you have celebrated the value of that in your life. And you have said to us, this has been very pivotal and foundational, and built your culture, your tradition, your ideology to becoming who. And we thought that we should pause and hear you both, and to see how can other women benefit from you and your expertise that you have gotten in the last 20-something, 25 years thereabout. So we celebrate you again. Thank you for coming on Scars to Stars, the special edition on mentorship. And we are putting your don't put your social media handles on the platform on social media. She'll create a post for it. so that as many people as following can get it. And please, when they come, please pass on to them the joys, the wisdom, and help that more women come into that space. We really celebrate you. We thank you so much. Thank you, Eve. You've taken your time, family time, to be with us. Dr. Nelly, you've taken all your time to be with us. Thank you both so much. God richly, richly, mightily bless you and keep taking you higher and higher so you can take more people with you. God bless you. Thank you. And to our viewers, to the viewers, we want to say thank you for joining us. It has been a special edition today. And we hope that you will continue to benefit from Scars to Stars. We're going to, today I'm not going to close. I'm going to ask Dr. Nelly to give us one thing to close. And Eve, you'll be the one to say good night if you don't mind. God bless you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Hand over to Dr. Nelly and she'll pass it to Eve. And then it will be good night. Thank you. Dr. Nelly, over to you. Okay, we're having, I think it's a delay with Dr. Nelly. Eve, would you wrap it up for us, please? What's the last word from you? You fire the last sermon and just send us home. Thank you, Eve.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pastor Jay. Thank you for just bringing us together. I know Dr. Nelly and I talk about you sometimes, and we talk about how you poured your life into us. And I think the things that we're doing is because we saw you do it to us, so we can do it to other people. And for guys who want to be mentored, just know that it's a process. It takes time. It's a journey, and you need to go to your mentor empty and be able to learn. I can tell you, if I can make it from True, and I can make it into Sandton, South Africa, Johannesburg, you can do too. So God bless you. As you reach out, we'll be able to help as much as we can. And thank you, Pastor Jay, and thank you, Dr. Nelly, and have a pleasant evening. Bye.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.